we are in 3.3 and we are multiplying and dividing fractions. To multiply fractions together, you multiply the numerators together and then you multiply the denominators together. So if we had the fraction a over b times c over d, we're going to do a times c over b times d. Here's an example. Let's say we had 2/3 times 4/5. We're going to multiply the numerators together, so 2 times 4 over multiplying the denominators together, 3 times 5. 2 times 4 is 8, 3 times 5 is 15. So this is 8/15. Another example, let's say we had 7/9 times 3/4. Well, now here, before we multiply, we could cross simplify. So if you can cross simplify, so 3 and 9, they have a common factor. So I can divide both by 3. This will cancel out, leaving a 1, and this will cancel out, leaving 3. So now you have 7 times 1 divided by 3 times 4, which is 7/12. Now we can work some more examples. In part A, it says 2 over 7 times 3 over 5. Multiply your numerators together and then multiply your denominators together. So 2 times 3 is 6, and then 7 times 5 is 35. Part B, we have 1 over 11 times 1 over 3, or 1/3. We're going to do 1 times 1, which is 1, and then 11 times 3, which is 33. And then C, we have 2/3 times 4 over 7. We're going to multiply the tops together, so 2 times 4 is 8, and then 3 times 7 is 21. So this becomes 8 over 21. More examples. Now we have 3 over 4 times 8 over 11. Before we multiply our numerators together and our denominators together, we can cross simplify the 4 and the 8. They have a common factor, and so I can divide both by 4. This will cancel out, leaving us with 2, and this will cancel out, leaving us with 1. So now we have 3 times 2, which is 6, over 1 times 11, which is 11. So this becomes 6 over 11. If you do not cross simplify in the beginning, and let's say instead you multiply, so 3 times 8 is 24, and then 4 times 11 is 44. Once you get to this step, you'll have to reduce your fraction. So your answer has to be in simplest terms. So let's divide both by 4, since 4 goes into both. And we'll end up with 6 over 11. So if you simplify first, you can get to the answer. If you multiply first, you'll have to reduce your fraction to get your final answer. So for part B, we have 3 fractions multiplying together. We're going to try to cross simplify. Let's start with 2 over 7 times 3 over 8. So 2 over 7 times 3 over 8. Well, we can cross simplify the 2 and the 8 by dividing both by 2. And this will become a 1. And this will become a 4. And then we multiply the tops together. So 1 times 3 is 3. Divided by 7 times 4 is 28. So now this becomes 3 over 28 times negative 14 over 15. Now we're going to multiply these fractions together. We can cross simplify the 3 and the 15, divide both by 3, and this will become a 1, and this one will become a 5. Then we also can cross simplify the negative 14 and the 28. Ignore the negative sign, and 14 and 28 have 14 in common, so we can divide both by 14. This will cancel out, leaving us with the negative 1. Remember, the negative will still be there. And then 28 divided by 14 leaves us with 2. So now we have 1 times negative 1 divided by 2 times 5, which is negative 1 over 10. Now let's talk about the reciprocal of a fraction. The reciprocal of a fraction is just the flip of the numerator and the denominator. So if I had the fraction 1 over 11, and I was looking for the reciprocal, I would just flip the numerator and the denominator, basically flip the fraction upside down. So now it would be 11 over 1. So the reciprocal of 1 over 11 is 11 over 1. When you multiply fractions together that are reciprocals, the product will equal 1. So 1 over 11 times 11 over 1. Well, 1 times 11 is 11, divided by 11 times 1, which is 11, and that turns out to be 1. So to find the reciprocal of a fraction, just flip it upside down. So let's find some reciprocals of some examples. For part A, it says 4 over 9, or 4/9. Look for the reciprocal by flipping the fraction. So now it's going to be 9 over 4. Part B, we have 13 over 9, or 13/9. The reciprocal would be 9 over 13. And then for C, we have 9 over 1. The reciprocal would be 1 over 9. Now we know what a reciprocal is and how to find the reciprocal. We can divide fractions. So to divide two fractions, first you're going to multiply the first fraction by the reciprocal of the second fraction. So keep the first fraction the same. Change it from a divide to a multiply. And then you're going to flip the second fraction. So keep the first fraction, change it to a multiplication, and then flip the second fraction. Here are some examples. So we have 4 over 5 divided by 1 over 8. We're going to keep the first fraction, so keep the 4 over 5, change it to a divide, and then flip the second fraction, which is 8 over 1. So 4 times 8 is 32, 5 times 1 is 5, and we have 32/5. Here's another example. It says 14 over 17 divided by negative 2 over 5. Well, first of all, let's talk about this negative sign. Since the negative's out front, you can leave it out front, or you can put it with the top number. So you can write it as negative 2 over 5. Now, we do not divide fractions, so keep the first fraction, and then times by the flip of the second. And that's going to be 5 over negative 2. Notice that the negative stayed with the 2. Now we can cross simplify. We can divide the 14 by 2 and divide negative 2 by 2. This will cancel out, leaving us with 7, and this will cancel out, leaving us with negative 1. So then 7 times 5 is 35 over 17 times negative 1, which is negative 17. Write your final answer by moving the negative up or moving it out front, so you can have negative 35 over 17 or negative 35 over 17. All right, let's do some example problems from our book. Let's go to page 203. And let's look at number 23. It says evaluate, so they basically want you to solve. So it says -2/3, whole thing to the third power, times 1/2. So remember our order of operations, PEMDAS. We do parentheses first. So we look inside parentheses and we have -2/3. That's just a single number, so we move on, and then we'll see the E, which is exponents. So we have an exponent. It says -2/3 all raised to the third power. Remember, third power means take whatever being raised to that power and multiply it by itself 3 times. So -2/3 times -2/3 times -2/3. So it's -2 times -2 times -2, which you should have as -8. And then 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. So now you have -8/27 times 1/2. We can cross simplify the 2 and the -8. Divide both by 2. This will become 1, and this will become -4. So now -4 times 1 is -4. Divide by 27 times 1, which is 27. So we have -4/27. Let's look at number 49. And we have -3/4 raised to the second power. Again, we have an exponent, so we're going to multiply whatever inside the parentheses by itself twice. So -3/4 times -3/4. -3 times -3 is +9. 4 times 4 is 16. So this becomes 9/16. All right, let's flip over to page 204. And let's look at number 67. It says, in a recent year, there were approximately 175 million moviegoers in the United States. Of these, about 7/25, or 7/25, were ages 16 to 24. Find the approximate number of moviegoers in that year who were ages 16 to 24. So we know there are a total of 175 million moviegoers, and we know 7/25 of them were ages 16 to 24. And we need to find the approximate number of moviegoers that were in the ages 16 to 24. So to do this, we're going to take the fraction. So take the fraction they give you and multiply it by the total. So the fraction is 7/25 times 175 million. Now if you have a whole number that's not written as a fraction, you can draw the fraction bar, and underneath it you can put the indivisible 1. So every number is divided by 1. Now let's cross simplify the 25 and the 175. So we can divide both by 25. This will cancel out, leaving us with 7. And this will cancel out, leaving us with a 1. So now 7 times 7 is 49 over 1 times 1, which is 1. So it comes out to be 49 million. Okay, so this will conclude our video for 3.3. Please email me if you have any questions.